Whether it be the series I made looking at the 7 best players in each position, or a video about the best players under a certain wage bracket, I'm often asked to remake old videos given that football is an ever-changing landscape and one that never stands still. It's something I'm generally reluctant to do, but today's video is one that I'm making allowances for. I made a video attempting to put together a best 11 made up of players born since the year 2000 in April 2019, so over a year ago, at a time when hardly anyone born since 2000 was actually getting regular game time at the highest level. Given that fact, my 15-month-old born since 2011 is dated, although I did make it quite clear that the 11 was based on the players' current talents rather than which players I felt had the greatest future potential. So today, I'm going to do an updated 11 of players born since 2000, although I'll try to make it a bit quicker than usual, and then at the end I'll have time to go back and look at my previous 11, look at the changes, how those players have got on, all that kind of thing. As with last time out, the 11 is based on how good I think each player is right now, so it is as though I'm picking an 11 for a match tomorrow. Some players, like Barcelona-bound 17-year-old Pedri or 16-year-old Ryan Cherki at Lyon, have enormous potential and may have brighter careers than some players that I pick, but right now, I couldn't justify including them. Very quickly, just before I start, if you can think of any other videos that I could not necessarily remake, but look back on and react to that I've made in the past, I think that could be quite an interesting and even amusing idea, most likely to see just how stupid I am, so let me know in the comments. Here is my updated best 11 born since 2000. Goalkeeper, Illan Meslier. Goalkeeper is always a tough spot to fill in a very young 11 since keepers tend to break through, develop and peak a lot later than outfield players. Sadly, Gianluigi Donnarumma was born in 1999, as was Alban Lafont, and for me, it was a toss-up between a Frenchman, a German and a Belgian, and I've gone for the Frenchman. Illan Meslier was born in March 2000, and the 20-year-old has already represented France at 3 different youth levels. Currently on loan at Premier League-bound Leeds United from Ligue 1 side Lorient, Meslier has been called into action this year following Kiko Casilla's suspension. I don't think he has been phenomenal in the Championship, but one thing I have been impressed with is the way in which he commands his area given his age, and he's still improving all the time. There's not much in it, and I think the keeper on the bench has far greater potential, but Meslier starts between the sticks. Right back, Sergiño Dest. The United States have a few exciting young players that should give them cause for optimism at the moment, and Sergiño Dest is among the best of them. Born in the Netherlands to a Surinamese American father and a Dutch mother, Dest has already won 3 senior caps for the US MNT, despite only having been born in November of 2000. Quick and purposeful, Dest is a typical modern-day attack-minded fullback, and he is probably at the ideal club in terms of his development. A member of the Ajax Academy since the age of 12, Dest has made 35 appearances for the Dutch Giants this season, and has impressed during his breakout campaign. Centre-back, William Saliba. Just like USMNT fans, Arsenal fans have plenty of cause for optimism in terms of young players, and in William Saliba, they will hope to have found a long-term solution to some of their long-term defensive woes. Signed by the Gunners last summer for £27 million, Saliba returned to St Etienne on loan this season in what was probably a shrewd move in terms of his development. Coached by Kylian Mbappe's dad at youth level, Saliba is already a well-rounded centre-back, and his place in this 11 was never in doubt. Centre-back, Ozan Kabak. Most centre-backs who were born in the year 2000 or later would consider themselves fortunate to be getting regular game time at lower league level at this stage in their careers, so the experience that Ozan Kabak already has under his belt is quite extraordinary. The Turkish centre-back has already spent 2 seasons as a regular, split across 3 different clubs, moving from Galatasaray to Stuttgart last season before joining Schalke last summer, who met his €15 million release clause. What's more, the 20-year-old is already a full Turkish international, he looks to have a fantastic attitude, and, as a bit of a throwback of a centre-back, he's certainly not one to shirk a challenge. Left-back, Alfonso Davies. It's not that there aren't other options at left-back, but the form of Alfonso Davies at Bayern Munich this season means that the Canadian international is possibly the most obvious inclusion in this 11, and certainly the easiest within my backline. In the MLS, Davies burst onto the scene with his quick feet, his willingness to commit players, and his superb athleticism. He probably didn't expect to be thrust into the action as he has at Bayern Munich this season, but an injury to Niklas Zula led Hans-Dieter Flick to shift David Alaba over to centre-back and to give Davies a go at left-back. I feel like I've spoken about Davies hundreds of times on this channel this season, but long story short, it has worked a treat. Davies has been formidable defensively, a constant threat in attack, and my suspicion is that he may not be a left back for good. Holding midfield, Sandro Tonali. Another very obvious inclusion, Sandro Tonali has already been described by Andrea Pirlo as the best midfielder in Serie A, and this is a league that can boast the likes of Rodrigo Bentancur, Fabian Ruiz, and fellow youngster Nicolo Zaniolo all in the middle of the park. Tonali has been likened to Pirlo in style, but as the Italian legend has said himself, Tonali is almost more suited to playing in midfield 2 than a 3. He's more athletic and industrious than Pirlo ever was, but he's still an intelligent playmaker who's good on the ball and has an eye for a pass. Serious injury or off-field crisis withstanding, Tonali will be playing for a top team and be one of Italy's most important players before too long. Holding midfield, Edoardo Camavinga. It may seem premature, given this 11 is based on the here and now rather than future potential, but even on those grounds, I think Edoardo Camavinga merits a starting berth in this 11. At 17, the Frenchman is the youngest player in this 11, and when I first made this video 15 months ago, I had never even heard of him. Camavinga, who was born in Angola, made a handful of appearances for Rennes last season, but he has become arguably their best player this season, which is high praise indeed for a 17-year-old in a team that just finished 3rd in the 5th best league in Europe. Camavinga likes to sit deep, but he's someone who can mix it up. He has a good range of passing, a great engine, and he reads the game incredibly well for someone of his age. Camavinga is currently being courted by just about every top club in Europe, and whoever wins the race to his signature has a serious player on their hands. Right wing, Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood is someone who I saw a fair bit of in youth football, so I've known for a while that he's a really two-footed and predatory centre forward. Bizarrely though, he almost looks more comfortable in the senior game, and the confidence with which he's running at defenders and finding the back of the net is really quite frightening. We must refrain, in this country especially, from putting unnecessary pressure on young footballers, and instead, just sit back and let them flourish. Without wanting to add pressure then, I must say Greenwood's form, since football has resumed in particular, is perhaps the best I've seen from a teenage English forward since Wayne Rooney. Naturally, Greenwood will probably end up playing through the middle, but he's largely played on the right for Manchester United this season, and it's there that I want him in this 11. Attacking midfield, Phil Foden. I have long said that Phil Foden is an incredible young footballer, and actually more exciting from an England perspective than even the likes of Jadon Sancho or Callum Hudson-Odoi, simply because we have lacked a midfielder who is willing to receive possession on the half-turn and take risks running at people or picking a tricky pass for so long. Following 2 years of people telling me he is overrated, that has died down a little over the last 2 months, as Foden has been given increased game time in the Premier League. As David Silva's Man City career comes to an end, Foden seems poised to become an important player at the Etihad, and I think he's more than good enough to be starting for one of the best teams on earth, and naturally, for England as well. Left wing, Jadon Sancho. Now, I'm acutely aware that this 11 is very English heavy now, and that seems rather suspect given that there are plenty of national teams that are better than England. All I can say is that I'm picking what I consider to be the best possible 11 right now. If I have some subconscious bias, then I apologise, although by and large, I'm fairly dismissive of the idea of English exceptionalism and arrogance, but if you do feel as though I'm being English-centric here, then so be it. In all honesty, Jadon Sancho is probably the one English inclusion, out of the 3 in this 11, that I don't think any serious person could really argue with. The 20-year-old is quite possibly the best player in this entire side, having built upon a brilliant season at Borussia Dortmund last season, with an even better one this season. Sancho has scored 20 goals and made 18 assists so far this season, at the age of 20, which is just stupid and remarkable, and he obviously makes this 11. Centre forward, Erling Haaland. Staying in Dortmund to finish off this 11, Erling Haaland is an automatic selection in this 11 off the back of this season. Not the daintiest of centre forwards, Haaland has fantastic movement and a left foot which combines precision and power to devastating effect. He's scored 44 goals in 40 games this season, split between RB Salzburg and Borussia Dortmund, despite the fact that he still has another few days left of being 19. Haaland is special, and he'll be among Europe's top scorers for more than a decade if he can avoid anything catastrophic happening. On the bench for my updated best 11 born since 2000, I've gone for Martin van der Voort, whose potential is frightening and who missed out only by virtue of inexperience and the fact he's only 18. Covering at centre-back, I've gone for Atletico Paranaense star Lucas Holter, adding some diversity to a very Europe-based 11. And in the fullback position, we have Norwich City's Max Aarons waiting in the wings as the oldest player in this side. Moving into midfield, we have Birmingham City's potentially Dortmund-bound sensation Jude Bellingham, who is joined by Real Madrid and Barcelona wideman Vinicius Jr. and Ansu Fati on the flanks, and finally Canadian boy wonder Jonathan David in attack, who is scoring goals for fun in Belgium right now. So that is my updated 11, with a great many players from Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Billy Gilmore, to Giovanni Reina, Jeremy Frimpong and Nathan Ferguson, who I would love to discuss but simply do not have the time. One thing I did promise I'd do though is take a look back at my original best 11 born since 2000 and see how they have got on. So here it is. In goal, we have Alessandro Plizzari, who is currently on loan at relegated Serie B side Livorno from AC Milan. The back four, from right to left, reads Max Aarons, who just got relegated with Norwich and made the bench in my updated 11, Ethan Ampadu, who has now won 13 caps for Wales and has had a frustrating loan spell at RB Leipzig this season, Kik Pieri, who has since joined Ajax but is yet to make his first team debut there, and Ryan Sessegnon, who joined Tottenham Hotspur for £25 million last summer but has very much been eased into his first season with Spurs. In midfield, you can see that both the holding and attacking midfielders, Sandro Tonali and Phil Foden, are unchanged. Meanwhile, Jadon Sancho has simply moved from the right to the left flank. Sancho is equally comfortable on either wing, and whilst he has spent more time on the right than on the left this season, he is at his most prolific in terms of both goals and assists when operating from the left. On the left flank, there was Vinicius Jr., who could easily have made the updated 11, although I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from the Brazilian at Real Madrid, given his enormous talents, but he still made my updated bench. Up front is where we have two significant casualties. Not literally, of course, they're both still alive, but casualties from the updated 11, given the last 15 months. Make no mistake, I still think Rodrigo could be a top player one day, but he's yet to really turn on the style in the Spanish capital, and I just felt there were players his age who've overtaken him since April 2019. Moise Kean obviously joined Everton last summer, but it's been a difficult debut campaign in truth, comprising of just one goal in 31 games in all competitions. On the bench 15 months ago, I had Bayern Munich backup Christian Früchtel, versatile Hamburg defender Joshua Wagnerman, Olympiakos centre-back Svetozar Markovic, who is currently on loan at Larissa in Greece, talented midfielder Sergio Gomez, who has just spent a season on loan with Huesca, Chelsea star Callum Hudson-Odoi, who I still think is brilliant but simply hasn't played enough football, partly through injury, to make my updated 11, Real Betis star Diego Lainez, and lastly Erling Haaland, who had only scored one goal in 5 games for Salzburg at the time, but has obviously enjoyed an incredible 15 months since. That's all for today's video. I know there are probably some players you're fuming I haven't mentioned in my updated 11, some of whom probably weren't born since 2000 and you just don't realise, and some who made my shortlist but just missed out and fall victim of the fact that I simply don't have the time to give everyone a mention. Thank you all for watching, you're all brilliant, especially those of you who give this video a like, comment with something lovely, and subscribe to the ever brilliant HITC Sevens.